My name is Beverly Goodwin. I am 39 years old. 6 months ago, my mother told me over a pot roast, with my father and my brother sitting there, that I would never be as good as Michael. I placed my fork on the table. Then I said the sentence that had been waiting 15 years to be spoken. My mother's face did something I had never seen before. She looked at me like a stranger someone had lied to her about. I believed I was the one holding the secret at that table. I was wrong. Someone had been deceiving my mother for 5 years. Someone she trusted more than me. By the time my brother lifted his glass at a charity gala 6 months later, 300 people were about to hear something I had only recently learned myself. Before I continue, do me a small kindness. Like this video. Tell me in the comments where you are listening from. I like knowing who is sitting at the table with me. Anyone who has ever been the dependable one in a family knows the tiredness I am describing. Let me take you back to that Sunday in October, the day I stopped pretending. The pot roast was the same one my mother had cooked every October Sunday since I was 12. The same carrots. The same small pearl onions she burned a little on the stove. The same cloth napkins with blackberry stains she refused to replace. I had flown in from Boston that morning. My parents' dining room had not changed in 15 years. The same brass chandelier hung too low above the table. The same framed photograph of my brother in his white coat, taken at his medical school graduation, hung on the wall behind my father's chair. My brother Michael was talking about a donation. $50,000. He had given it, he said, to the children's cardiology program at his hospital. My father nodded the way a man nods when he has finally heard the news he expected. I mentioned politely that my firm had just secured an $18 million pledge for a cardiac wing in the same state. My mother chuckled. She actually chuckled. Then she said the line. Money isn't the same as saving lives, sweetie. You'll never quite be as good as your brother, but we love you anyway. My father looked down at his plate. Michael smiled. His smile. The one he used in hospital hallways. Mom, be nice. I set my fork down. 15 years of swallowed dinners rose up in one clean sentence. Then tell him to pay the bills, Mom. I'm not sending money anymore. My mother blinked twice. Something honest moved across her face. Something confused. What money, Beverly? We've never received a single dollar from you. The cruelest things in a family are never shouted. They are slid across the table between the gravy and the green beans, and everyone is expected to chew right through them. Let me tell you that for free. My mother's face when she said she had never received a single dollar from me was the most honest thing she had shown me in 15 years. It was the beginning of the worst 6 months of my life. I drove the first 3 hours without turning on the radio. The interstate in October is a long gray tunnel of rain, construction, and brake lights. I had a rental car out of Cleveland. I had a thermos of bad coffee from the hotel I booked in a panic the night before because I had not wanted to sleep at my parents' house. That should have told me something. It did not tell me anything yet. I kept hearing my mother's voice. Not the chuckle. The blink. The blink was the part that bothered me. My mother is not a good liar. In fact, she is the worst liar in our family. She gives herself away like a church bell. When she said she had never received a dollar from me, she gave away nothing. No flinch. No hesitation. She simply said it and then waited for me to explain myself. I pulled into a rest stop in western Pennsylvania around 10 that night. I stood under a yellow light beside a vending machine and did the math. $3,000 a month. 60 months. $180,000. Gone somewhere. Not to my mother. Not to my father. Somewhere. Before we go further, let me welcome you properly. Pour yourself something warm. Pull up a chair. Like this video if you are with me tonight. Leave a comment telling me your city. It is always nicer when I know who I am sitting with. I drove the rest of the way with the radio still off. Somewhere outside Erie, I began to understand something. And by the time I crossed into Massachusetts, I had a plan. Not a full plan. The first piece of one. I am a CFO. I do not panic about money. I find out where it went. My mother collected my brother's accomplishments the way some women collect commemorative plates. Each one hung carefully. Each one dusted every week. Never quite enough of them to fill the wall, so she always needed more. When I was 8, I came home with a perfect score on a math test. I ran into the kitchen holding it up. My mother looked at the paper, then at me, and said, "Oh, lovely. Did your brother help you with that?" Michael was 12. He was in the den watching cartoons. He had not helped me with anything in his life. That was the whole arrangement, explained at the dining counter before I was old enough to understand what I was learning. My brother was the bright one. I was the steady one. My parents took $40,000 out of savings to send Michael to medical school. They took exactly zero out of savings to send me to business school. I took loans. I paid them off in 6 years, alone at a desk in a studio apartment. And I never once mentioned it at a Thanksgiving table. When Michael finished his residency, my mother stood up in the church hall during coffee hour and told the entire congregation, "We have a doctor now. Our family finally has a doctor." People clapped. Someone hugged her. When I graduated with my MBA, my mother sent flowers to my apartment with a card that said, "So proud of you, sweetie. Will you be home for Christmas?" Let me tell you something true. The child who is never praised learns to measure herself in quieter things. Spreadsheets. Early mornings. The weight of an envelope she mails without a return address. By the time I was 30, I had stopped hoping my mother would ever be proud of me. By the time I was 35, I had stopped hoping she would ever see me at all. On Monday morning, before my second coffee, my best friend in the business casually handed me the second piece of the puzzle. Her name is Helena Vaughn. She runs the oversight committee for a regional hospital foundation in Ohio. We met 9 years ago at a philanthropy conference in New York, in the hotel bar. Both of us hiding from a man who wanted to discuss tax exemptions. We had been friends ever since. I called her about something else, an unrelated question about a grant structure. We got through our business in 4 minutes, and then she said, "By the way, that gala at Fairmont Regional, they want you to speak. Your family office is the lead donor, and Michael is being honored too. Matching gifts, apparently. Clever of him." I let a second pass. Matching gifts? Yeah. He says his personal giving matched part of your firm's pledge. $250,000 makes his bio read beautifully for the wing naming. You didn't know? I held the phone very still. I didn't know. Oh well. He was probably saving it as a surprise. Helena did not hear what I heard in that sentence. She moved on to her week. We scheduled lunch. I hung up. $250,000. From my brother. The same brother who, when our father needed a knee replacement 2 years earlier, had called me at 11 at night to ask if I could cover the copay because he was between payrolls. The copay had been $600. My brother's personal pledge to my firm's project had a 0 after every digit my brother actually had. Helena had handed me a thread. I would spend the next 3 weeks pulling it until the sweater came apart. If that money had not come from a cardiologist's salary, I already had a guess where it had come from. By Tuesday afternoon, I had stopped being a sister and started being a CFO. I walked down 2 floors to Marcus Webb's office. Marcus is our compliance officer. He has been at the firm longer than I have. He is 60 and bald and kind and terrifying to anyone who has ever tried to launder anything through a charitable vehicle. He drinks tea. He does not small talk. I closed the door behind me and sat down. Marcus, I need to open a ticket. He nodded. He waited. That was Marcus's whole thing. He let you say the thing yourself. I need a compliance audit on 2 items. First, the personal wire transfers from my private account to a joint account in Ohio. 5 years of them. $3,000 a month. The joint account is in my parents' names. My brother is the authorized signer. Second, the donor records at Fairmont Regional Medical Center. Any matching gift commitments attributed to Dr. Michael Goodwin, MD, against our firm's cardiac wing pledge. Marcus set his tea down. Beverly, your brother is a connected party. This is a conflict of interest. I know. I want it on the record. You understand what happens if there is a finding. I understand. He looked at me for one long breath. Then he pulled a legal pad toward him. I'll file it tonight. 3-week turnaround. Do you want me to loop in legal? Loop them in. I want a paper trail on this one that could be read out loud in a courtroom. I had spent 15 years keeping my family off my professional letterhead. I was about to do the opposite. There is a kind of courage that does not look like courage. It looks like a woman opening a compliance ticket and typing her own brother's name into the form. Marcus gave me a timeline. 3 weeks for the audit. The gala was in 6. I called my mother on Wednesday night. I kept my voice the exact temperature of a bank teller's. Mom, that joint account we opened a few years ago. Do you check it? Oh, honey. Michael handles all that. You know your brother is so good with numbers. Don't you worry about us. Mom, have you ever actually looked at the statements? A pause. Not a long one. Long enough. Why are you asking? Is this about Sunday? It isn't about Sunday. Well, your brother does so much for us. He paid for the new roof last year. He drove your father to the eye doctor in August. He handles the bills. The roof. I had wired an extra $18,000 in May for that roof. The bills. The bills I had paid silently on the 1st of every month for 60 months. Mom, have you ever logged into the account? Beverly, don't turn this into one of your New York lawyer things. I live in Boston, Mom. You know what I mean. I pinched the bridge of my nose. My mother had a particular gift. She could take any question about my brother and turn it into an accusation against me in the space of 2 sentences without breaking a sweat. Mom, I'll talk to you later. Beverly. I hung up. I did not cry. I opened my laptop. I pulled up the online portal for the joint account. I typed in the username my mother had years ago. Let me set up. The password was still the same one I had chosen for her. She had never changed it. She had never used it. You mothers, you sisters, you aunts sitting with your tea right now, tell me you don't know this look. The one your mother gives the favorite child, shaped like forgiveness she has never once given you. By the time I logged in, I understood something I had been refusing to understand. My mother was not lying. My mother genuinely did not know. Friday morning, I called Helena back. Yes, I'll speak at the gala. Wonderful. Let me get you on the program. I'll send the honoree list tomorrow. Michael is on it, of course. Anything I should know? I watched the light on my desk phone. A small red light that blinked whenever anyone called. It blinked now. Voicemail from my mother again. Helena, if I asked you to hold the honoree announcement until my remarks, could you? Silence on her end. Then. Beverly, what is going on? I don't know yet. I will in 2 weeks. You want me to hold an announcement of a matching donor on the main program at a black tie event because you asked me to? Yes. She was quiet for a long moment. All right. I'll move it to after your remarks. I'll tell the director it's a sequencing issue. I trust you. Thank you, Helena. Beverly, if you need me to be more than a friend on this, you'll tell me. I will. I hung up and stood at my office window. 34 floors above the harbor. A tanker moving slowly toward open water. A seagull on the ledge. The city doing what a city does, which is keep moving whether you are ready or not. There are moments in a woman's life when she stops asking permission. This was one of them. The gala was 5 weeks away. The audit was 3 weeks. I had just enough time to learn the truth, and exactly enough time to do something about it. I would like to tell you I felt calm. I did not feel calm. I felt something closer to the way you feel on the morning of a funeral, after the crying is finished, when the coffee is cooling and you are trying to remember which shoes go with the dress. I met my brother's wife at a coffee urn in a Chicago convention hotel. I had never spoken a full sentence to her before. Her name was Lauren. She had red hair, thick at the ends and pulled back. A gray blazer that fit the way a blazer fits when it has been altered properly, which my sister-in-law's had, because she was a tax attorney on partner track and knew how a blazer was supposed to sit. I was at the urn filling a cup. I turned, and there she was. You're Michael Goodwin's sister. I'm Lauren. I'm his wife. She paused. For about 2 more months. I set the cup down. I've been meaning to find you for a while, she said quietly. No drama. Do you have 10 minutes? We walked to a bench in the hallway, and she did not make small talk. I appreciated that. She told me 3 things in the space of 7 minutes. 1, she was filing for divorce. She had found unauthorized withdrawals from their home equity line. $74,000 over 18 months. 2, she believed my brother had a gambling problem. Sports betting mostly. A specific online sportsbook registered out of Delaware. 3. You send money to your parents, right? I did not answer. I did not need to. I thought so, she said. I found a transfer log. $3,000 a month coming in, going out to Delaware the same week. I didn't know if it was yours or if he was stealing from someone else. I'm sorry. There is a kind of friendship between women who have been lied to by the same man. It does not require small talk. It skips directly to loyalty. Lauren gave me her card. When you're ready, I have prints. I put her card in my wallet beside my driver's license. I have kept it there ever since. Marcus sent the preliminary audit at 9:47 p.m. on a Thursday. I was sitting on my couch in Cambridge with a glass of wine I had not touched. The windows behind me faced the river. The water was black. A single scull slid past late, a red light glowing on the stern. I opened the attachment. 5 years of wire logs from the joint account. $180,000 in. Same amount out. Out to a sportsbook licensed in Delaware. 187 separate transfers. $94,000 total. A cryptocurrency exchange from 2021 through late 2023. $38,000. Every cent of it lost. According to the exchange's own disclosure records, which our legal team could pull because they were not private. My brother's personal checking account, $48,000 in small, steady deposits. 0 to my mother. 0 to my father. 0 to any vendor connected to the roof, the copay, the eye doctor, the insulin, the anything. I read the report 3 times. I did not need a 4th. The math was the kind of math you do not forget. My brother had not stolen from me. My brother had stolen through me. I was the pipeline. My parents were the excuse. He was the drain. I closed the laptop. I finished the wine. If you have made it this far into the story with me, truly, thank you. This was the part where I started to understand. I was not dealing with a brother who had made a mistake. I was dealing with a pattern. Like this video if you are feeling what I felt. I see you. Keep going. I went to bed at 2:14 a.m. I woke at 5:30. My hands were steady. My voice was steady. I went to work. I called my father on Sunday. He was in the garage when my mother handed him the phone. I could hear the radio in the background. The game. He always had the game on Sundays. Dad, can we talk for a minute without Mom on the line? Of course, honey. He sounded surprised. He closed a door. The game went quiet. Dad, the joint account. The one Mom and I opened a few years ago. Has Michael been handling it? Your brother's very kind, Beverly. He brings us cash when we need it. He brought your mother $20 last week for her hair appointment. My father had been a bookkeeper for 31 years. And he had balanced other people's books to the penny. He was, in that moment, describing himself receiving an allowance from his own account, of his own money, which was not his money. Which was mine. Dad, has Mom ever logged into that account online? A pause. Longer this time. No, we don't do that online banking thing. Michael handles it. Dad. Honey, he's doing his best. Please don't fight with him. There was a particular kind of silence in my father's voice. It was not ignorance. It was the silence of a man who had chosen, at some point, not to ask. Dad, I'm not fighting. I'm asking. I know you are. Another pause. I know you are. He did not say more. He did not need to. My father loved me. I have never doubted that. But loving a daughter and defending her are not the same skill. And my father had only ever practiced one of them. I told him I loved him. I told him I would see him at the gala. He told me he would wear the blue tie. We hung up. I stood in my kitchen for a long time. My brother had been leaving a paper trail for years. He had simply never expected anyone in our family to know how to read one. Marcus had run the due diligence package that any family office runs on any connected party to a charitable transaction. It is standard procedure. It would have been malpractice not to. What it pulled. 2 federal tax liens totaling $42,000, filed in 2023 and 2024. 1 civil suit from a different sportsbook, this one in New Jersey. $28,000. Settled out of court in late 2023 with a non-disclosure that did not cover the fact of the settlement itself. Only the terms. A lien briefly placed against a car he bought in 2022. Released 3 months later. Released, according to county records, because a personal loan from family had cleared it. Family. Lovely word. All of it public record. All of it accessible through any commercial due diligence tool a regulated firm like mine was required by federal law to run on any person financially connected to a transaction over $5 million. Nothing was stolen. Nothing was private. Nothing was gathered out of anger or personal curiosity. It was the most boring thing in the world. It was paperwork. My brother, who had spent 15 years telling my father I did not understand the real world, had a tax lien larger than my first car. By the end of that week, I had more documentation on my own brother than I had on half the third-party vendors the firm reviewed every quarter. I remember thinking, as I closed the folder, that I felt very little about what I had just read. A tiredness, maybe. Not satisfaction. Nothing triumphant. Just the flat tone of a woman finishing a spreadsheet she had hoped never to need. The Gala program arrived on a Friday morning by overnight courier. It came in a cream envelope wrapped in tissue. The card inside was so thick it clicked when I set it down on my kitchen counter. I made coffee. I sat with it for a minute before I opened it. The program was gold foil and cream and folded 4 panels deep. It listed the evening's honorees by tier. It listed the Goodwin Cardiology Wing, my firm's commitment at the top as lead donor. Underneath, in the secondary tier, it listed Dr. Michael Goodwin, MD, matching gift partner. Personal pledge. $250,000. Next to his name was a small photograph. White coat. Stethoscope. The smile he used for hospital hallways. I stared at it for a long time. I had never seen that photograph before. He had provided it to the event committee himself. He had also apparently nominated himself as matching gift partner, because our firm's internal records showed no pledge from him of any kind, and the foundation's records were based entirely on his self-reported letter. On hospital letterhead, signed by him, dated 4 weeks earlier. It was, in plain English, a fraudulent filing. It was printed in gold foil on paper so thick you could feel the weight of the lie in your hand. There is a kind of arrogance that only reveals itself in a printed invitation. A man who will place his own lie on cardstock is a man who has run out of other places to hide it. I set the program down. I finished my coffee. I sent Marcus a 1-line email. Please confirm in writing that no matching pledge from Michael Goodwin exists in our records. I need this for the file. Marcus wrote back in 12 minutes. Confirmed. On letterhead. In writing. Forever. Let me tell you exactly why I chose the Gala. I know you have been wondering. I had 3 other options. I considered every one of them. I could have called my brother privately. He would have denied it. I know this because I had already given him a smaller version of the same question years earlier, in a different context, and he denied it then. I had no reason to expect a different performance now. I could have called the police. Wire fraud is a federal matter. They would have taken my call. The investigation would have moved forward without any input from me, and it still might. I did not want the government to tell my mother first. I wanted to be the one to tell my mother. I could have called the hospital foundation director directly. She would have handled it quietly, in-house. My brother's name would have been removed from the program, and the evening would have gone forward with a small printed correction. No one in that room of 300 would ever have known my name. None of those paths gave my parents the truth. None of them gave me the record. And none of them answered the question that had been sitting in my chest since I was 8 years old. If the evidence were laid in front of her, in front of witnesses, would my mother ever truly see me? Women over 40, I need you to hear this part carefully. You do not owe your family a private apology tour when they have spent decades embarrassing you in public. You are allowed to answer in the same register in which the question was asked. By Saturday night, I had written my remarks. 4 paragraphs. 1 page. I did not change a word for 3 weeks. I met my brother at a hotel restaurant in Boston on a Thursday for a lunch neither of us ate. I had chosen the place for 2 reasons. It was public enough that he would not make a scene. It was private enough that he would not perform. I knew my brother. My brother could not resist an audience. I had not given him one. He came in wearing a blazer and the smile he used when he was busy but had made time. He ordered a martini. I ordered tea. I placed a folder on the table. Plain gray clasp envelope. Michael, I know about Delaware. I know about the crypto. I know none of the money reached Mom and Dad. I know the $250,000 pledge does not exist. The one you put in the Gala program. I'm giving you one chance to withdraw it quietly before the event. He let 4 seconds pass. I counted. Then he laughed. Not a small laugh. A full, practiced one. Beverly, you've always been dramatic. No, Michael. I've always been quiet. It's a very different thing. He took a long sip of his martini. Mom and Dad will never believe you. Mom says you've been jealous of me since you were 8. That's why I'm doing it at the gala. So Mom doesn't have to take my word for it. You'll tear this family apart. You already did. I'm just noting it in writing. I watched him then. His hand on the glass was steady. Barely. The skin under his left eye was twitching in a way I had never noticed before. I had been looking at him my whole life and had never looked at him this carefully. I almost felt sorry for him. Almost. He left without paying the check. I paid it. I wrote final in the memo line in my head, and it was the last grace I ever owed him. By Friday morning, my mother had left 3 voicemails in my inbox, and my brother had left 2. By Saturday, my mother had left 7. I listened to 1. It was enough. Beverly, your brother is very upset. He says you accused him of terrible things. We did not raise you to do this. Whatever happened in Boston, you need to apologize. We are a family. She said the phrase "we are a family" the way she always said it. The way she said it whenever she was about to ask me to absorb another injury for the sake of her Christmas card. I did not call her back Saturday. I did not call her back Sunday. On Monday morning, she called my work line, which she had not used in 2 years. I answered because I thought it might be an emergency. Beverly, have you logged into the joint account? Because your mother said it first. Because your brother said it. A long silence came through the line. The kind that tries to become an answer if you let it sit long enough. I can't remember the password. Then reset it. I don't want to. And there it was. My mother at the edge of her own truth, refusing the only door that led into it. I softened my voice. Not for her. For me. Mom, I'll see you at the gala. We can talk after. I promise. Beverly, please. Mom, I love you. I'll see you in Ohio. I hung up. The mother who says we did not raise you to do this usually means we raised you to be convenient, and you have become inconvenient. I have not met the exception to that rule. I have looked. I did not return any other calls that week. I had run out of the currency my family had always spent from me, which is, and has always been, my compliance. Lauren's second email came on a Sunday night. 11 attachments. 1 line of text. Thought you should have these on your terms. I opened them in order. A home equity line statement from 2023. Withdrawals I recognized as my brother's handwriting in the memo fields, even through scans. $74,000 over 18 months. Mostly $4,000 increments. A divorce petition draft. Clean. Factual. No performance. Credit card statements. Sportsbook transactions. Crypto exchanges. A liquor store in Cincinnati that showed daily charges for 8 straight months. A letter from a collections firm addressed to my brother requesting $31,000 on a line of credit I had never heard of. And last. A screenshot of a text message. Not emotional. Not messy. Worse for its simplicity. From my brother to a friend from residency. A man named Doug, who I had met once at a wedding. Dated, a Tuesday in October, 2 years earlier. Time, 11:47 p.m. I'm drowning, but my sister thinks she's funding Mom's insulin. LMAO. I read it 3 times. There is no metaphor for what a sentence like that does to a person. No weather system for it. No season. You read it, and afterward your hands are still your hands. Your coffee is still your coffee. And something inside you is not the same thing it was before. I closed the laptop. I went for a walk. It was 11 degrees outside. I walked for an hour anyway. When I came back, the screenshot was still open on my screen. I printed it. I filed it. I did not cry. I would say that line once at the gala in front of 300 people, and then never again. The day before the gala, I ironed a dress I had owned for 4 years and worn only twice. Charcoal wool crepe. Long sleeves. A collar shaped like a man's shirt, turned down. My mother had once told me, at an event we attended together, that it made me look like a lawyer. She had not meant it as praise. I had kept the dress anyway. I laid it on the bed. Polished my shoes. Opened a small box and took out my grandmother's diamond earrings, the ones she left me, not my mother. My grandmother had understood something about her daughter that my mother had never understood about me. I did not wear red lipstick. I wore nothing that could be mistaken for revenge. I was not going to Ohio to win. I read my remarks again. 4 paragraphs. 1 page. Every sentence cleared by Marcus. Every claim backed by a document I could place under fluorescent light without flinching. Helena called at 6. Beverly. Last chance to back out. This will follow him for life. Helena. He used our mother's signature on a joint account as cover for a gambling line in Delaware. I'm not the one following him. I'm the one who stopped. A long pause. All right. See you tomorrow. I hung up. Finished packing. I put the folder in my carry-on. Lauren's card went back into my wallet beside my license. I had spent 15 years being told I was cold. I had come to understand it was one of my better qualities. Helena asked, before we hung up, if I was nervous. I told her the truth. I had been rehearsing this speech without knowing it since I was 8 years old. I drove to Ohio on a Saturday in April. I wore the dress. I did not wear red. I drove the full 12 hours myself. I do not fly to my mother's town. I never have. The airport is an hour away from their house, and it takes longer to get out of the terminal than it does to drive 2 extra states. I drove. I did not listen to music. I listened to a podcast about behavioral finance, which is what I always listened to when I did not want to think about anything else. The host had a calm voice. I had met him once at a conference. He had asked me to come on his show. I had said no. I would say no again this year. I do not like being on shows. I like listening. Somewhere in Indiana, I thought about the piano. My mother had sold her upright when Michael was 14. She sold it to pay for his summer science program. She had played it every Sunday of my childhood, quietly after church, for maybe 20 minutes. I had never once asked her why she stopped. I thought about my grandmother's earrings in my ears. I thought about my father's blue tie. I arrived at the hotel at 4:12 p.m. The ballroom was in the same building. I checked in. I hung the dress. I sat on the edge of the bed, drank a glass of tap water, and did not rehearse the speech. I had stopped rehearsing 4 days ago. There is a point in any speech where rehearsal starts to weaken it. I had not driven to Ohio to win. I had driven to Ohio to stop losing. One more conversation was coming. The one I had been preparing for since I was a child without ever knowing its shape. I walked into the ballroom at 6 o'clock. The chandeliers were lit. The napkins were folded like small white birds. The donor wall stood on the north side, lit from below, a cloth draped over the new stone installation that would be unveiled after dinner. 300 people in tuxedos and long dresses. A string quartet tuning near the stage. Waiters moving through with trays of champagne. My mother saw me first. She was across the room. She set down her glass and walked toward me, her face arranged into something carefully normal. Beverly, please. Don't make a scene tonight. We'll talk tomorrow. I looked at her for a long moment. She was wearing the dress I had sent her 2 Christmases ago. Mom, I'm here as CFO of Goodwin Hartley. I'm speaking at 8:15. She blinked. That familiar blink. What? My brother was already moving toward us, grinning that hallway grin, hand outstretched like nothing in the world had weight. Sis, let's be cool tonight. I'm always cool, Michael. My father stood 3 steps behind them. He did not come closer. He did not look away. He just watched me. Then, very slowly, without saying anything, he nodded once. It was the first time in 39 years my father had ever nodded at me like that. Not as a daughter. As someone entering a room with authority he could not ignore. My mother said, "Beverly, what are you talking about?" I did not answer her. The ballroom smelled like lilies and warm butter. 300 strangers were about to hear my family's history in under 4 minutes. I walked to my table. Of course we were seated together. The foundation always does that with families like ours. The Goodwins. The name on the wing. The reason the room existed at all. My mother. My father. Michael. Lauren was there too. Still technically his wife at that point, invited months before the divorce filing, and she had come anyway because she had told me she would. 3 board members I had met twice. The beef was medium rare. The green beans almondine. Nobody ate much. Michael told a story about a patient who once sent him a crate of pears. I had heard it 11 times. He told it like a man polishing something that had already stopped shining. Sweat had begun to show at his collar. Lauren drank her wine and said almost nothing. My mother kept glancing at me, then away, then back again, like she could correct me by looking harder. My father cut his food into small, precise pieces. At 7:58 p.m., Helena walked past the table and touched my shoulder. 15 minutes. My mother finally said it out loud. Beverly, you're really speaking? Yes, Mom. She looked at my father, searching for rescue. He did not rescue her. He set down his knife. He set down his fork. He looked at me across the centerpiece of white ranunculus and eucalyptus and said the 4 quietest words of his life. Let her speak, Nancy. Nobody at the table spoke for the rest of dinner. I will tell you how you know when a man has finally understood something. He stops eating his dessert. My father's 4 words were the only apology he would ever give me. They were enough. At 8:12 p.m., Helena walked onto the stage. She welcomed the room in the tone she always used for rooms like this, warm, unhurried, lightly amused, as if nothing in the world could possibly go wrong under chandeliers. She introduced the Goodwin Cardiology Wing. She thanked Goodwin Hartley Family Office for the $18 million lead commitment. 200 people turned their heads toward our table. I did not move. And tonight, Helena continued, before we unveil the donor wall, our CFO, M. Beverly Goodwin, has requested the honor of speaking on behalf of the firm. Polite applause followed. The kind of applause a room gives when it still believes it is attending an event, not a turning point. Michael set his glass down. His face had gone the color of old milk. My mother turned fully toward me. My father already was. If you have ever sent money and never heard a thank you, stay with me. This next part is for you. I want to say something about this moment in the story. I know most people would scroll past here. If you've stayed, do me the kindness of being in the small percentage that doesn't. It means more than it should. Now, what I said. I stood. I smoothed the charcoal dress. I walked to the stage. My heels made no sound on the carpet. My heartbeat made up for it. I reached the microphone. I placed the folder on the podium. I did not open it. I did not need to. I had memorized every line 3 weeks earlier, sitting in a kitchen in Cambridge with coffee gone cold. I looked out at the room. I found my mother's face. And I began. Good evening. Thank you, Dr. Vaughn. On behalf of Goodwin Hartley Family Office, we are honored to underwrite the cardiology wing. My parents, Richard and Nancy Goodwin, are here tonight. My brother, Dr. Michael Goodwin, is also here. A pause. I want to correct one line in the program. The room shifted. Subtle. Not yet understanding. The $250,000 matching gift attributed to Dr. Michael Goodwin has not been received by this foundation. Our compliance office has confirmed that no personal pledge from him exists in our records. That listing will be withdrawn. A deeper silence now. I also want to share something that is in the public record and will be formally filed within the week. I turned one page I did not need to turn. For 5 years, I transferred $3,000 a month into a joint account intended for my parents. Those funds did not reach them. A forensic audit by this firm's compliance team has documented their diversion. The matter has been referred to counsel and to the appropriate authorities. A breath. My parents did not know. They were lied to for as long as I was. I am not here tonight to punish my family. I am here for one reason. To ensure that this institution is funded by honesty. It will carry my family's name on its wall. That name should mean what it says. The Goodwin Cardiology Wing is real. The Goodwin family's contribution is real. One of us made that contribution. The records will show which. Thank you. I did not raise my voice. I did not need to. I raised the truth and let the room decide what to do with it. I closed the folder I had never opened. I stepped back from the microphone. I did not look at my brother. I looked at my mother. She was crying in a way I had never seen before. Not performative. Not controlled. Something older. Something collapsing. The kind of crying that happens when a person realizes they have been living inside a story they never agreed to. I walked off the stage. Behind me, the silence held for 4 seconds. I counted. I always count. I am a CFO. I count things. One woman at the back began to clap. Then another. Then a table near the front. Then slowly, unevenly, the entire room. It was not a roar. It was something worse. It was recognition spreading. People clapping because others were clapping. People clapping because they had just understood what had been said. And people clapping because, for the first time, someone had said it out loud where it could not be softened later. Michael was already standing. He moved toward the back doors of the ballroom the way a man moves when he is trying very hard to look like he is not running. A member of Foundation Security, a tall woman in a black suit I had never met, positioned there by Helena days earlier, stepped quietly into his path and followed him out without a word. He did not notice her. My mother stayed seated. She did not stand. She did not leave. Her hand was in my father's. My father's hand was steady. Lauren remained at the table. She set her glass down, looked up at me, and gave me the smallest nod a woman can give another woman when words would be too large for the room. I have thought about that nod many times since. Helena met me at the bottom of the stage steps, her hand light on my elbow. Backstage now. Local press is in the rear. I nodded. As I walked past my parents' table, my father stood up. He did not reach for me. He did not speak. He just stood. It was the first time in my adult life he had ever stood when I entered a room, or when I left one. Michael caught me in the hallway near the coat check. He had sweat through the back of his shirt. The security officer was still 10 feet behind him. He didn't see her. "You've destroyed me," he said. "You've destroyed Mom." "No, Michael. You did both of those things. I just stopped helping you hide them. The hospital will take my license. That's between you and the board. You're my sister. I was. For a long time. A breath. I still am. I am still your sister. Then, evenly. I'm just no longer your pipeline. He opened his mouth. Closed it. Tried again. Beverly, please. I have a daughter. You have a daughter. You have a wife. You have parents. You have a hospital that trusted you, and you used all of them. You used me longest. You don't get to choose which of those debts I forgive tonight. He was shaking now. Not dramatic. Not theatrical. The kind of shaking that happens when a body finally stops being powered by adrenaline and starts telling the truth physically. He had used the word destroyed. What he meant was caught. My brother did not need my forgiveness. He needed my invoices. I walked past him. I did not touch him. The security officer, still behind him, gave me a small nod as I passed. I nodded back. Professional to professional. Woman to woman. I kept walking. I have been asked since whether I felt anything in that hallway. Anger. Pity. Triumph. I did not feel any of those things. I felt the clean, strange quiet of a task completed. The way you feel at the end of an audit when every discrepancy has been traced and every page accounted for. Ready to close the file. He called my name once more behind me. I did not turn around. Helena brought me into a small room behind the stage. A green room. A mirror. A framed photograph of water no one in that room had ever touched. 2 chairs. She stood outside. The door opened again. My mother came in. My father followed. He closed the door behind them. My mother stopped just inside the room, as if she had forgotten how to move in a space that was not arranged around her comfort. Is it true, she said. All of it? I placed the folder on the small table between us. I did not open it. Every number. My mother looked at it. She did not touch it. I said terrible things at that dinner in October. Yes. I don't know how to. Mom. Don't. Not tonight. Her voice broke slightly. Beverly. Tomorrow. Or next month. Or next year. But not here. Not in this room. I'm not ready yet. My father stepped forward and took my mother's hand. Not to comfort her. To steady her. Nancy, he said quietly. Let's go. My mother nodded. She touched the folder with 2 fingers, like testing whether it would burn her. She did not pick it up. They left. Helena came back in a moment later. Press. 2 questions. No more. I'll take them in the main hall. I want it public, I said. I want it boring. She smiled. That's my girl. I sat down. I drank the water in the glass on the table. All of it. I had not realized how thirsty I was. 3 weeks of audit. 6 months of suspicion. 15 years of being miscast in my own family. All of it reduced to a folder I had never needed to open, in a room where my mother had finally stopped asking me to be convenient. I did not forgive her that night. I did something better than that. I left her the door open. My father asked the question the way he asked most difficult questions in life. Quietly. As if volume might make it less real. Will you come visit? I set my mug down. I could hear the house behind him through the phone. The same house. The same silence layered over rooms that had never quite decided what they were supposed to hold. Dad, I said, not yet. A pause. Not disappointment exactly. Something more neutral than that. I understand, he said. And I believed he did. That was new. After we hung up, I stood in my kitchen for a long time without moving. Not thinking in sentences anymore. Just pieces. Names. Numbers. Doors that had opened too late or closed too early. The human brain likes to pretend endings arrive cleanly. They don't. They arrive like paperwork. Slowly. In batches. With other people's signatures on them. 2 weeks later, I flew back east for a compliance review that had nothing to do with my family and everything to do with what my life had become after them. I stayed in a hotel that smelled like new carpet and industrial lemon. I ate dinner alone in the bar downstairs because I did not feel like explaining anything to anyone who would ask if I was visiting home. I was not visiting home. I was reviewing what home had done with my money. On the second night, I got a message from Helena. He's here. No name. No need. I closed my laptop. I went downstairs. The hospital had scheduled a final internal hearing before the medical board's next step. Informal, but not gentle. The kind of room where consequences are explained rather than debated. Michael was already there when I arrived. He looked smaller than I remembered. Not physically smaller. Something less fixed in him. Like the outline had not caught up to the collapse inside it. He did not stand when I entered. Neither did I expect him to. Lauren sat a few seats away. She did not look at him. That, I understood, was its own kind of discipline. My parents were not in the room. That mattered more than I expected it would. There are rooms where families are supposed to be present and choose not to be. Those absences are also statements. The board chair spoke first. Formal tone. Neutral language. Words like irregularities, financial misconduct, fiduciary breach. Words that tried very hard not to sound like what they were describing. When it was Michael's turn, he tried to speak in the language of misunderstanding. Stress. Pressure. Misjudgment. At one point he looked at me. I didn't think it would get this far, he said. And I realized, very clearly, that this was the sentence that had been operating inside him the whole time. Not denial. Not confusion. Expectation that distance would protect him from consequence. It had protected him for a long time. It just stopped. When it ended, no one applauded. There was nothing to applaud. Only decisions being recorded. Outside, the hallway was too bright. Hospitals always are. As if clarity could be forced by lighting. Michael walked out first. No escort this time. Just the shape of someone no longer being protected by systems that used to assume he belonged inside them. He stopped when he saw me. For a second, I thought he might try to speak. He didn't. That was new too. You were right, he said finally. I did not answer immediately. I wanted to make sure I meant what I was about to say. I wasn't trying to be right, I said. I was trying to stop being wrong. That landed differently for him than it did for me. I could see that. He nodded once, like a man acknowledging a door that has already closed. Then he walked past me. Not running. Not performing. Just leaving. I did not watch him go all the way. There is a point where watching stops being information and becomes something else. I did not need more of it. I went outside. It was late afternoon. The kind of light that makes buildings look temporarily forgiven. Helena was waiting by the curb. Done? She asked. Not done, I said. Just no longer active. She gave a small smile at that. She understood language like that. We stood there for a moment without speaking. Then she said, you know, most people don't realize this part is the real ending. What part? The part where nothing else happens for a while. I looked down the street. Traffic. People. Ordinary motion continuing without instruction. Yes, I said. I think I'm there. That evening, I called my mother back. Not because anything new had happened. Because nothing new had to. She answered on the first ring. Beverly? Hi, Mom. Silence. Not the old kind anymore. A different one. Less defensive. More careful. I don't know what I do next, she said. That's okay, I said. You don't have to know everything at once. A pause. Do I get to see you? Not will I see you. Do I get to? That phrasing mattered. Yes, I said. But not like before. I don't know what that means. I know, I said. That's why we'll go slow. She exhaled. I could hear it. Okay, she said. And for the first time, she didn't try to turn okay into a performance. We stayed on the line a little longer. Not saying anything important. Just remaining. When I hung up, I didn't feel finished. I felt something more accurate. Rebalanced. And for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel like the person holding everything together. Just the person who had finally set it down. My father called me on a Tuesday afternoon. I was between meetings. I took the call. Beverly. Dad. I knew something was wrong for maybe 2 years. I didn't know what. I was afraid to look. Dad, I am not asking you to forgive me. I am asking if I can see you alone when I am next in Ohio. I stood up from my desk. Walked to the window. The harbor was the color of unpolished silver. A small sailboat cut through it, its white sail sharp against all that gray. Yes, Dad. Coffee. Just us. Yes. I would like that. Silence. I could hear him breathing. That familiar uneven rhythm I had known my whole life. From before I was born. From before most of the things that had ever gone wrong in our family had names. I am proud of you, Beverly. The words arrived without hesitation. That was how I knew they were real. I should have said it a long time ago. I am saying it now. I will say it again. I will say it until you believe me. I did not know what to do with a sentence that had survived that much delay and still chosen to exist. Thank you, Dad, I said. I love you. I love you too. We hung up. I stood at the window for a long time. I did not cry. I did not need to. Something had already shifted into place. Not closure. Not resolution. Alignment, maybe. Something quieter than both. That afternoon, I took off work. The first time I had ever done that without rearranging it into something else first. No justification. No substitution. Just absence. Words that arrive late do not become cheaper. They accrue interest. The speaker pays it, whether they know it or not. I went home. Opened a bottle of wine I had been saving for no particular reason other than avoidance. Drank 1 glass. Then stopped. Boundaries are not walls. They are fences with gates. I built a gate. I kept the key. That summer, I set up a fiduciary trust for my parents. $5,000 a month, paid directly to them, reviewed quarterly by a local firm I had vetted myself. No joint accounts. No intermediaries. No names that could be used as cover again. No Michael. My mother, to her credit, learned how to read a statement. The fiduciary explained it once. She asked again. The second time, she took notes. I drove to Millbrook every 2 months. Stayed 2 nights. I did not eat dinner at the house if my brother was there. I met my father for coffee on Route 14, at a diner with paper placemats and a waitress named Linda who remembered me from childhood and had always liked me more than she liked my brother, though she never said it aloud. My mother learned not to mention Michael when I was in the house. Not out of anger toward him. Out of respect for me. She had never practiced that particular form of respect before. She was learning it now. I did not forgive quickly. I did not need to. I only needed the truth to be able to sit in the same room as my family without breaking everything open again every time I entered it. The first year was awkward. The second was quieter. The third, my mother called every Sunday morning, and not once did she begin a sentence with his name. She began them differently. How was your week? What are you working on? Tell me about you, Beverly. And I told her. And she listened. A year after the gala, I stood in front of the cardiology wing with her. The plaque was mounted on the north wall, names carved into dark stone in a single clean row. My father's name. My mother's name. Mine. She read them out loud. All three. She paused slightly before mine, as if testing whether it still belonged to the same category as the others. Then she said it. And let it stay in the air without trying to fix it. I had thought for most of my life that my family needed me to be patient. That was what I had been for 15 years. Patient. Quiet. Reliable. The person who absorbed what others could not carry. But that wasn't what they needed. They needed honesty. I had mistaken silence for politeness. Silence is not politeness. Silence, practiced long enough, becomes agreement. A slow, quiet yes to every small cruelty that arrives between the gravy and the green beans. I thought about my mother selling her piano for Michael. I thought about my father at the breakfast table, reading the paper, letting his wife run the story of our family because it was easier that way. They were not monsters. They were people. People who made particular choices over particular decades, and who, now I believe, had the capacity to make different ones in whatever decades they had left. I still send my mother flowers on her birthday. I still sign the card only, Beverly. Not your daughter. She seems to prefer it. So do I. My brother sent me a letter about 8 months after the gala. Handwritten. 3 pages. I read the first paragraph. Folded it back up. Put it in a drawer. I have not read the rest. I may one day. I may never. I had not become a better daughter. I had become a daughter who could afford to be herself in her parents' house. That is the only kind of better worth having. The one where you stop needing to be different in order to be loved. If you have walked with me this far, let me leave you with what I kept from all of this. Do not wait for your family to recognize you. Do not wait for an apology. Do not wait for a particular dinner where everything finally becomes clear. Those dinners do not exist. They are a fantasy, and the fantasy will keep you at a table where you are already being quietly misnamed. Also, do not burn it all down. You do not need to burn it down. You need a fence. A gate. A key you keep for yourself. The money, the time, the quiet labor you have given for years with no receipt, write it down. Not to collect it. Not to weaponize it. Just so you remember who you are when the next bowl of pot roast arrives and someone assumes you will stay quiet again. The reliable one in a family is never thanked on time. Sometimes she is thanked late. And sometimes, if she is very lucky, if she is honest, if she learns when patience is a virtue and when it is just permission for others to continue. She learns to thank herself. That is the only thank you that was ever going to be on time. You who are listening tonight, thank you for being the kind of person who finishes the story. That matters more than it should. Nobody is coming to tell you that you have done enough. Nobody is coming to hand you the microphone. You will have to stand up. You will have to smooth the dress. You will have to walk. And the day you do is not the end of something. It is the beginning of your life behaving like it already belongs to you. I did it on a Saturday in April. You can do it on a Tuesday. A Thursday morning. Any day the coffee is warm enough and you finally stop negotiating with what you already know. Every morning now, I drink my coffee before I answer the phone. It is a small rule. I made it the week after the gala. The phone goes face down on the counter. The coffee gets finished first. Whatever the phone has for me. My mother, a colleague, a voicemail I ignored yesterday, Helena asking me to serve on another committee, Lauren sending a photo of her daughter on a swing. It can wait 8 minutes. 8 minutes is not very long. It is long enough. I have a kitchen with a window facing east. In May, the light comes in gold. In November, it comes in silver. The cup I use is the same heavy white one I have had for 11 years. The spoon belonged to my grandmother, small rose stamped into the handle. My mother once wanted it. It came to me instead. I am still 39. Soon I will be 40. I am not afraid of it. I have already done the hardest thing I will ever do in this family, and the coffee is still warm. Would I still get the Millbrook Herald? It comes on Wednesdays. I read the obituaries. I read the school board reports. I never look for my brother's name in it, though I know one day I may see it there in a different way. I hope so. Thank you for sitting with me tonight. You gave me your time, and that is not nothing. If this story met you where you are, tell me where you are from. Tell me what you would name the room you reclaimed. And then, go live in it.